hello everyone, and welcome to our fourth episode of Second Draft. You see five people from all over the world joining to have a beautiful discussion, hopefully revealing and exciting and inspiring for you on how we define success in life. Have you thought about this question? Are you interested? Is this something that nags you? Is this something that keeps you awake during the night, how successful you are in life? It has certainly been part of our questioning and discussion, and we said, why not? Let's talk about it. Let's be open and, open our hearts and maybe touch some other hearts. With that, let's have a very short introduction. I'm Maria Gabrani. I'm actually in Greece right now. Hello from summer in Greece.
Hi, I'm Sandra, and I'm just outside of Germany, just outside of Munich in Germany.
I'm Alex Lorenz. I'm also in Germany, but just outside Frankfurt.
I'm Steven Garaganis, and I am calling from Locarno, the sunny Locarno in Switzerland.
Hi, my name is Tania, and I am in Moscow at this moment. We are having sun is out for the first time this week. Yay!
Yeah.
I define my success in life by like this. This is my, this is how success looks for me right now. I see the sun.
The sun.
So go on, Tanya.
Oh gosh, how do we define success? You know what? That's a loaded question, isn't it? I think that first and foremost we need to, like, for me it was always a different measures that define this success. I can't say that there was always one, that was just kind of an array of things, and then they change throughout time. So for the first kind of, when you begin your career, whatever it is, there are very specific measures in place, and you build, you grow, especially if you're working in corporate environment, you grow, so that growth defines your career. Then you grow to a specific level, and then all sorts of questions arise, and you're like, okay, so I've kind of been there, done that. I've gone to a very specific level. Is that success? Is there more? So, and then that's when you start digging, especially if you, like for me, for instance, at a certain point, I had a very kind of high top management position, like middle top, but top still. And I don't know, I just it didn't feel like it was enough. It felt like there was a lot of work. There was not enough gratification, I guess, from that work. Long hours. And then, so, and then I actually, it got to a point where I actually burnt out from all of there was a lot of stress. There was not enough that I could kind of qualify as gratification, or as, feeling like you're actually a success in that respect. So what happened to me, I burnt out and I left. I went to Israel. I took a 10-step demotion. I took a very kind of, for me, basic job that I could do with my eyes closed. It was not interesting at all, and I hope that if any of my colleagues ever hear it, like, I love you guys to pieces. You were the only interesting part of that job, but the job itself was like primitive to a point of, like, gosh, it was just, and then and then there was a question of what else is exciting, what makes what makes life exciting. And that kind of changed the idea of success for me as well, because when you realize that there is a way to live your life and to sleep enough every single night, and to have, I mean, for me, the most, like, the dream was to kind of be able to see the sea every day. And that felt like a huge success at the moment. So when I kind of came back to my real world, so to speak, what I wanted from my job was very, very different.
For me, success is very different from, I guess, when I was younger and when I was starting out my career. As Tania said, I also had a career where there were different levels that you would achieve, would study, and getting the next step up, sort of promotion. But now I am older and I've had my children, and for me, success is partly why I pivoted in what I wanted to do. Success for me means finding meaning in my work, connecting with people, which I realize now is something I really want to do and feel good about doing, connecting and helping people, which I hadn't really identified when I was younger and choosing a career path. So for me now, success is about connecting with people, helping people to live better lives in whatever that way means for them. And also, as a parent, success is about my family, my children being happy and them being healthy and successful. So, yeah, a lot changes with time and age, and I think that's completely normal. Yeah, finding a work-life balance, as Tania said, about being able to have enough rest, and this all contributes to how you feel and how well you feel about yourself and your life. I know Stefanos is also very much into the well-being aspect, and
Yeah.
love to hear what he has to say about that.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, because for me, like, success is very individual, what we mean by success. And for me, it was always success what makes me feel happy. And whether that is, let's say, going to the gym or having a work or doing, let's say, a work that I'm enjoying, basically, that would mean for me success. And success is not really, again, like for me, something that I would go, let's say, a very senior level or something like to be recognized by others, but more, let's say, personal to me. So success, yeah, I mean, the principle for me is like being successful to something is what you're enjoying, what really makes you happy. And that's how, like, I'm keep going with my life. Like, whatever makes me happy, keep having fun. That is actually successful, because success for me is only that. It's like specifically that. Being yourself, being happy with what you're doing, and just keep doing it. If at some point you kind of don't feel that you like it, you can probably like move to something else or refine it or something else. But yeah, like success is like equals, let's say, being happy with what you're doing. So that's what it means for me.
Beautiful revelation.
Yeah.
Awareness. Wonderful. Alex.
I think just thinking about what Stefan has just said about, doing something that you enjoy is very, very true. I mean, if I look back on my career, and when I started my career, for me, success was everything about the position, about the money, all the sort of really superficial stuff. And as I've got older, I think realizing that, yes, having the senior position is really often not a lot of fun. And I think, for me, it really has become important that I'm actually adding value, and that I'm doing work which is valuable, and that that contribution that I'm making is making a difference to others. And I think for me, that's really what success is about, and obviously enjoying what I'm doing. I think I became really aware of that in the last couple of years. The environment I was working in was very challenging and becoming more so. And it was the people that I enjoyed working with. It wasn't the work that I was doing. It was the people. And that's that's probably why I stayed as long as I did.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I have to take my turn, it's I'm somewhere around most of the comments there. Indeed, I was always trying to do what made me happy and what I felt that I really wanted to do. So all the, the education and the choices that I made in life were driven initially, at least in the early stages of my life, driven by my passion, my purpose to help people. That's why I went to medical, but also my passion with math and, my structural logic brain trying to, combine the two. But as life started to go on and, walking the path towards higher responsibilities, the external influences and the responsibilities and the measures of success of the companies that I worked on and so on. So externally imposed factors started to kind of drive what I had to do, right? Go higher, earn more money, so I can support and do better schools for my kids. Also publish more or whatever, things that started to take me more and more away from what I really truly wanted and made me happy, as Stefanos and Alex said, and started to work like crazy, as Sandra and Tania said, because those measures were important, and starting to go through a ladder because that was the typical way of being recognized, and the path and opportunities came. And with time, I realized that the higher I was moving in ladder, but also the more kind of responsible mom I was becoming, or wife, or you name it, all the hats we are wearing in a daily life, the further I was moving from who I was truly and what made me happy and who I was. In the end, I kind of reached a point where I said I was so exhausted, so tired, that I really had no time to even think. And I was kind of in a red zone for a long time. And then I realized and I said, Maria, stop. What are you doing? What's happening? And there it's really that I realized indeed that most of the factors that define success for me were external. Not internal, not what made me happy, what was my purpose, what was meaningful for me, what brought values, as Alex said, right? What, as Tania said, something that I felt that I belonged to. And then I realized that success comes from within, and it is different for every one of us, right? And something that make us wake up every day, happy to go meet the people. And people are, we think, corporations, or, we think jobs, or we think houses, cars, whatever, unimportant. No, they all change. People change as well, but they are the constant source of energy and smile and love and heart and connection to us. Without people, we are social animals. Without people, we don't live, right?
It's interesting because the last couple of weeks I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of different people. And one of the things that we've ended up talking about is what success means for them. And not one of those people that I've spoken to have said that success is about their job. Their success is always related to family, whether they've got children, whether they haven't got children. It's about spending time with people that they care about, that they want to be with. And it's about being in a place where they are feeling happy about what they are doing. And I found that really quite intriguing, that these were completely different people who did not know each other, yet there was this common thread. And there was almost a level of frustration with the fact that, they kind of knew what was success was for them, but they weren't able to quite get to it.
Can I throw fuel to the fire here?
Go for it.
A little bit. Might that be that these people are not doing something that they like? Because for me, and I'll tell you why, because and I said it already, in the second episode where we were discussing the why, why we chose to change our lives to completely, for some completely, for some just slightly make a shift and do something completely different. For me, it was because I was not getting any, like, it was boring for me. Just yesterday, I was talking to a friend and we were talking about television because I used to be a television journalist at a time. I've done every bit of journalism imaginable for now, apart from like running with a camera in a war zone. That was something that I never was interested in. So, but and she was like, okay, so maybe we'll do something one day. And I didn't feel anything. I was like, I really kind of, okay, I've been there, I've done that. I'm not getting the, and I also feel like there's such a kind of level of, there's a certain level of demonization around achievement, isn't there, right now, and at work, that you're not supposed to be an overachiever, but what if you are? What if you like that? What if you enjoy doing something just for the sake of doing something that others can't? I know I have. And I still do. And and it's okay. So my shift came from the fact that I didn't feel like success for me, I've already reached it at my job, and I kind of didn't feel there was anywhere to grow. So for me, success was always linked to growth, to evolution in a way, personal. And is there something wrong with, wanting to be really, really good and achieve stuff at your job? No, I don't think so. Whereas when you don't like your job or you don't feel like you're kind of being fulfilled by that job, and all of your success is linked to something that has nothing to do with your work, for me, that would be, that would be something that I would have probably said, okay, so why are you doing something that you don't feel the passion?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
I would agree with what you
Sorry,
said,
go for it.
Tania. I think you've pointed out the fact just how different everybody is in regards to what they view as being success factors in their lives, because it's absolutely totally fine to be motivated by your work and to want to achieve more. But as you pointed out, if you really don't feel that, maybe you are doing the wrong kind of work. It's but then I also think that there comes a point where it's okay to have a balance in what you view as success, like work success and home success or life success, and sort of balance the two out.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
The one doesn't deny the other. What makes you happy is that you want to grow. And where you grow is again your direction. The point is, do you grow in something like journalism that you don't like, or do you grow in somewhere that you like at this moment? Because this may change from time to time. I think success can be done into kind of, it's like, smaller pieces and how you reach your end goal, right? I also love to grow. I mean, I cannot be stagnant. It's one part of my life. And how I grow, I used to like growing, and doing things around medical, because I felt that if I grow in this area, I can help more people, and that would make me happy. But, for work, nobody asked me, how do you measure success by, being happy? There is no such measure. There's not like kilos of happiness or something, or, grades or something like that. You measure success on, whatever income or publications or, whatever metrics, quantifiable metrics. So success can be then decomposed into smaller or different types of criteria. But that criteria, as long as they are aligned towards your inner happiness, and they're aligned to what you actually really truly want, they're good. Otherwise, you feel this distance. And this is what happened at some point for me. And I'm hearing also for the clients that said they are happy, they know what success is. But are you measured? Are you working towards that criteria? Or are you working and measured on criteria that are not aligned to your values? And
Absolutely.
again, this may change with time.
Yeah.
The point is, how do you look? That's why I said day by day. How do you fulfill how you're measured? I mean, I'll give an example with my kids. I mean, I learned that the best way I can make them successful in life is by letting them go and have their own choices. Difficult for me because, but thinking deep down, that is not a responsible mom. This is not a successful mom or whatever, right? That would be not the typical. But in the end, the most important thing is not to be successful measured by how outside people think, is by, making them happy. And letting go is very difficult, believe me.
Yeah, exactly.
Steven?
Sorry, Stefan.
No, sorry. No, I was trying to say that actually what you are really saying, Maria, and also like Sandra, you said before, and also Tatiana, we tend to like forget every day how many successful moments we have. And for example, when I was working in the corporate environment, I could see people who were doing really, really great stuff. Also, like, even the very small things, including me. And we weren't really, appreciating. We didn't have that gratitude, as you said before, Tatiana. So I think it's also a bit of a mindset thing. Like for each and every step that we are doing, it's good to have a bit of, acknowledgement and being thankful with what we are doing every day. Even that very small things of success. Because at the end of the day, if we have, if we are feeling successful with something, it will definitely make us happy, make us feel better. And I think that's something that we really forget many times.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that the phrase came to mind of celebrating the small wins.
Exactly.
And also it came to me that in different phases of our lives, a small win could be different from at a different stage of our lives, because
Yeah.
I've spoken to people where just showering that day is a win. If they're going through a difficult time, having small successes, getting out of bed and being able to shower and prepare dinner could be a win in certain phases of somebody's life if they're going through a challenging time, for example. Whereas at another time, that might not be even something you would think of being a win. So it's really interesting and insightful what you said, Stefanos, about the fact that you didn't or you don't always recognize your own and each other's successes.
Indeed.
There's also
Alex?
a huge question around values as well, something that all of you guys spoke about, like whether this aligns with my values. But even sitting down and understanding, I mean, this is an interesting thing, but like I've had at least one conversation with a person who's like openly said, like, I don't understand what a value is. And how huge of a problem that is, They can't define their values. They don't understand what it is, And so I think that's certainly for me, I know that I went through the process of kind of re-understanding my actual values, not the ones that are being imposed by the society or by, I don't know, my education, my parents. It's a huge part of the values that are being imposed on you while you're still growing up, and you're supposed to want this, you're supposed to value this. I don't. And that was a huge conflict as well within my mind, and that took a lot of time to overcome. the conflict between what you should do this and this and this, and you should value this and this and this and this, and the understanding that I truly, truly don't, and that my values are completely different, and then there's the guilt that comes in, the guilt that you should value this, but you don't value that. Well, bad girl. Ay, ay, ay. And I think there's, that's just such a deep kind of rabbit hole to go down. But it definitely needs to, like, it's something that is worth doing for sure. To understand how you define your success, you actually need to understand what you value in your life.
I actually did this experiment at home.
Yeah.
On internet, they have this kind of list of values. And
Yeah.
there's this program that, you have to go like 5 times around, and every word, like, I don't know, honesty, equality, respect, or community work, whatever. There are so many, feels good. Just, in the beginning, cross 10, and then cross 5, and the top 3, and so on. And I did that with my whole family. And it was very interesting to see how different we are. They had very few common. And also you could see, for example, my daughter and son was closer to me, and some closer to her dad, or vice versa with my son, and so on. But it's a really different constellation, and to realize that for each one of us, it's completely different, and it's okay. It's really okay. But you know what was also interesting with that? We were able to understand each other a little bit more, and where we are coming from, and respect each other even more.
I was thinking about the values issue, and it was, how important it is that our values are aligned in terms of helping us to feel successful. And I was thinking about a specific situation where a very good number of years ago, I worked with an organization, and it was without a doubt the worst place I had ever worked. And I became aware that what it was actually the values of the organization. They were so rotten. It was just, there was a complete disconnect, and it became more and more intolerable. And it became almost a physical reaction to that intolerableness, if that's a word, of that disconnect. And I think we often don't consider that enough. We don't, because values seem to be such a nice theoretical thing, but they really aren't, and they really are kind of core to each of us.
That's true.
Interesting.
That's such
So
a
with
huge
respect of
subject. So
Go ahead, Tania.
I was thinking that, that's turns out into such a kind of deep conversation. So maybe we should continue it next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of the ways that we identify that, in order to be really truly successful, both internally and externally in your company, you actually have to be aligned with, the values both ways, and not, family and so on.
Yeah.
But just before closing, any closing comment from you, so that, we celebrate our 4th episode with a small success, and hopefully with a good, message for our viewers and listeners. Any topic? Tania, we'll start with you. We finish with you, and we'll do the round thing.
Oh gosh. I think, well, first of all, yeah, yay, 4th episode. That is
Yep.
that is a success, because
Yeah.
it took some time to organize everybody, and there were 7, and then there were 6, and then there were finally 5. We don't know whether we're going to be joined by the rest of the pack later on. But this is maybe that as a kind of parting message that, success is movement, isn't it? Step by step, putting one foot in front of the other, however big or small the step is, as long as you don't kind of get caught into kind of lying in the direction of success, you keep moving, that already in itself is a huge success.
Yeah, success is something that live it every day. Every moment that you really enjoy doing, that's the moment of your success. No matter how small, no matter how big it is. Just embrace yourself, be happy, and continue doing what you are doing, always with joy. That means success to you.
Just to add to what Tania said about success being movement and success being growth. And I think as long as you're moving forward, that's a positive thing. And it doesn't matter how much that movement is, but as long as you are going forward, that's the critical thing. And yes, yay to number 4.
Yay!
Sandra,
I just was thinking about success for an individual is always important not to bring in comparison with other people.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start comparing yourself to others, you can often feel like you're not successful.
Yeah.
I think in that way, it's better to only compare yourself to how you were yesterday or a month ago. And that's the only comparison to make, not with anybody else.
indeed, we are all unique, all beautiful. And so is our second draft Zoomcast. Thank you for watching the 4th, and we are looking forward to seeing you in our 5th one.